Hello and welcome back to another out-of-spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Next to me here we have an absolutely stunning Guards Red Porsche GT4 RS with the full Vice Sock pack. And in today's video, this vehicle is coming in for a little bit different of detailing services to what you normally see here on this channel. This vehicle is covered head to toe, front bumper to rear spoiler with full paint protection film. And in today's video, we're talking about why you may want protection for your paint protection film in terms of doing a ceramic coating. So welcome back and let's jump into it. I can already see the keyboard warriors in the comment section below saying, protection for your protection? Are you kidding me? What an absolute scam. I've had PPF on my car for 8 years. I clean it whenever the heck I want and it looks as perfect as the day it went on. Great, but there are better ways in the industry to keep your PPF looking as nice as possible, and that comes down to a ceramic coating. So in today's video, we're gonna go through all the benefits of ceramic coating your paint protection film, how you choose which ceramic coating you should be using. Should you be using a ceramic coating that is dedicated for paint protection film, maybe even vinyl, or should you be using paint coatings? We're gonna go through all of that. We're also gonna talk about the cost to get a ceramic coating installed. I see a lot of the times a customer like this is spending $8,000 to $10,000 to get their whole car filmed, and then they have to pay $800 to $1,000, maybe even $1,500 to get ceramic coating on top of it. We're going to go through all of that. We'll also at the end of the video go through a quick little demo here on installing a ceramic coating on PPF. It is ever so slightly bit different than paint, but honestly, it's a lot of the same. Now, with this video, I want to start off with a discussion. It's really going to be discussion in this video. I'm going to chapterize this out so you can skip over the stuff you don't care about, skip to the stuff you really do care about, and then we'll get into the demo. But first off, I want to talk about kind of the elephant in the room. You guys know, if you've been watching this channel for a while, I'm not the largest paint protection film fan. Now, years ago, I went down to XPEL in Texas, got fully certified, started installing film here at the shop, and then I really started to fall out of love with the product because of quite a few issues. Really, my big issues come down to PPF with, number one, the install. Now, I'm gonna make a whole video on this particular car coming out right after this because this customer spent a very pretty penny on this car and got a very below average PPF job done. And that's really one of my biggest issues with PPF. There's a lot of installers out there. There are probably 5–10% that do a phenomenal job, and a lot of the others do a terrible job and actually are damaging vehicles more than if you weren't putting PPF on. The other issues that I see with paint protection film is they naturally are a little bit harder to clean and wash and maintain. I get a lot of customers in here that have decided PPF's for me. I'm really critical. I don't want, rock chips on the front. That's a big, list. It's on top of my list of priority. Then they come to me and saying, I really don't understand why the front end of this vehicle is so much harder to clean than the normal painted areas. And honestly, that's just the natural nature of paint protection film. It is a very soft and extremely porous material. It has to be soft to absorb those rocks, have those self-healing capabilities where you can scratch the heck out of it, and then basically it goes back to looking perfect after you put some heat on it. So it is a porous material and very soft, which means that it holds a lot of dirt, and going in to clean that can be more annoying. You kind of get to the point where you start having to scrub it, and this is where we come into putting a ceramic coating on it can help alleviate a lot of the annoyances with that. Now, do I think it makes it as easy to clean as normal paint with a ceramic coating? No, but does it make it better? Absolutely. So again, that's one of the reasons we're getting into why I think ceramic coatings are awesome for PPF. The next thing that really drives me nuts with paint protection is the issues with bug staining. Now again, thinking back, going back to that very soft, very porous, what I see, whether the PPF is has the hydrophobic infused top coat that most PPF has in it, whether you do nothing to it, or whether you put a ceramic coating over it, bug staining is a serious issue causing permanent damage in the film here. I've had this multiple times quite literally with multiple different customers. They come in, they've decided PPF is right for them, throw a ceramic coating on it, they take it on a road trip, it's on a black car, they do it in the middle of the summer, they come back, want to clean up after the fact, and bugs are permanently stained in the film. Then you're getting to the point you're having to rip the whole film off, put a new piece on there. It just gets to this point where, to me, it's like the value proposition there is quite annoying. Now, the issue with bugs on here is that heat is a serious issue, especially on darker painted vehicles. Like this carbon hood here, I can absolutely tell you there will be bug stains on this in the summertime, even after we ceramic coat it. Again, that comes down to it being very soft and very porous, even with the ceramic coating over the top of it. What I normally see is that cars with ceramic coatings without PPF actually don't stain quite as easily by a big amount compared to even a vehicle fully done with the top end film and even has a ceramic coating on it. It just really bakes in there. And to me, it's quite annoying that customers are spending a lot of, thousands of dollars to do this for an aesthetic reason of not getting rock chips, but then you have all these bug stains in it. And I get it in the comment section below. People are saying, well, I'd rather have that on my PPF than my paint, but paint doesn't stain as easily. So that's one of my annoyances. The other annoyance with PPF is it still does rock chip. I totally get the premise of paint protection film. I want to protect the paint because I hate looking at rock chips. And I get that. That's one of my biggest benefits to PPF is it helps with rock chips, but you still see rock chips on paint protection film. It just looks slightly differently. And then when you tear it off, of course your paint isn't, I shouldn't say always isn't damaged, because there are rocks that can get through it. Again, I'll show this in the next video when we're talking about the install on this particular car. Now, the last big thing is just cost. Now, I have said multiple times, I personally would not put PPF on my personal vehicle unless I had something like this. Now, let me quickly talk you through the differences, then we'll get into ceramic coating. This is just my quick spiel here, just want to talk through it. Now, let's say you have a Model 3 Performance like myself. With tax credits, incentives, that's a mid $40,000 vehicle. Do I think it's rational to go spend 15 to 25% of the value in doing the whole car in PPF? Not really. Do I think you should go spend 10 grand on your Model 3, your daily driver, to put film on? Absolutely not. The reason being is you're never going to see that money back again. You're going to deal with a few rock chips here and there if you don't do it, but you're going to have that money in your pocket. I also think on vehicles like that, if rock chips really annoy you, it's probably cheaper to get a high quality paint job on the front end of your vehicle instead of replacing film all the time. So that's my big thing with it. On a vehicle like this though, I think it's a totally different story. This is a very unique vehicle. You're not daily driving this. There's a lot of areas with a lot of high impacts. This has Michelin Cup 2s on it. And I can definitely tell you, if you didn't have film on this, the whole side of the car would be destroyed by rocks. So this is a case where I think it's very important. There's also the thing of these cars are trading north of $200,000. Putting $10,000 worth of film on it is not that big of a deal compared to something like a Model 3. So that's really where I get frustrated with the, detailing PPF industry and telling people like, oh, you have to PPF your car. People don't really know some of the negatives that you get into with PPF. It's harder to clean. A lot of the workmanship that I see with paint protection film around the country is truly terrible. And to get really good, well done PPF, you're spending even more than that $10,000 on a lot of vehicles like this. So that's where I go like, okay, you really need to weigh the pros and cons of this. And I don't think your natural first instinct buying a new daily driver should be, I need full film on it. Do you go half? Do you go part? I don't know. It's this ever-growing discussion. But on a vehicle like this, if I'm picking up one of these brand new, 100% I'm putting film on it. This is going to be a car where you're probably going to get your money back, if not even more, of having PPF on it. You take something like my Model 3, 3 years down the road, you go to trade it in because the newest one with the newest software, whatever, has come out, and you go to trade it in, you're probably going to get laughed at if you ask for more value than your car is actually worth because you spent, $8,000 to $10,000 on PPF. Whereas a vehicle like this, you could probably at least make your money back, if not maybe even double that money. I mean, I've seen some cars, you take a GT3, it's a track rat, it's a canyon carver, they don't put PPF on it. I guarantee you, you're gonna get your money back and more if you had film put on it from day one. Porsche enthusiasts really care about this stuff. Now, you also need to make sure you're having the right installer do it, because if you're like this particular car, this thing has knife marks all over it, and that is not something people want to see. So enough about the PPF. Let's jump here into the actual ceramic coatings and why you'd want to do it to your PPF. Now, going into this, I did a little bit of background research, talked to some friends in the paint protection film industry, and really got a good grasp on, some questions I personally had. And I think I answered a lot of them before I even asked them and knew a lot of these questions, but I wanted to get their insights because they work with film all the time. So number one, I think a lot of new film in the industry, whether it's, XPEL, SunTech, all of the other brands that are out there, a lot of these are infused with a hydrophobic top coat in it. And my number one question to them was, okay, so if it has that, why would you ceramic coat it? And a lot of the guys have been telling me it doesn't last as long. That kind of hydrophobic layer really goes away after a very short period of time. And it's also not as, I would say, aggressive as a full strength ceramic coating. So that's where I think, okay, you have this layer on top of there, cool, it's great. A lot of guys actually hate it for installing film, because to be able to move it around, you have to spray the outside of it, and then it kind of sheets the water off and it gets annoying. So I've seen some rumblings of people really not liking it and people liking it. I don't know, to me it's like, why not just put a ceramic coating on after? The biggest thing that I was curious about, and I've already answered this for myself, but I think a lot of you are gonna have questions about, is does putting a ceramic coating over the top of your film interfere with the ability for the film to have that self-healing capability? Now, this was one thing that I was like, no, why would it do that? But then I got thinking about it more. I'm like, well, maybe it could, because you're putting this, somewhat hard layer over the top of the film. Does it not have that ability to expand and contract and self-heal those scratches? But then I get thinking of, XPEL has their own ceramic coatings. It's called Fusion, I believe, that they put over film. So I was like, okay, I don't think that makes a difference whatsoever. Talked to a few people. They said, nope, doesn't really make a difference. I don't know the science, the chemistry, and the background that goes into that. It does seem contradictory to me that it still works and doesn't have those same issues. But they also said, a lot of the benefits of doing the ceramic coating is that top coat is not as aggressive as a full strength ceramic coating. It's going to help clean up the paint protection film a lot easier. And that's, again, one of my biggest negatives with it. So I think the other thing we need to talk about is, what kind of ceramic coating should you be putting on your PPF? Because we see in the industry out here, a lot of the times there's, ceramic coatings for every different facet on a certain vehicle. You can have a paint coating, a vinyl, a paint protection film coating, a plastic trim coating, a glass coating, a wheel coating, a rubber coating. What actually makes the difference? Now, we're starting to see more and more coatings come out, i.e. Clean by Pan, the organizer's coating here, that works on everything. It works on paint, PPF, vinyl, matte, satin, wheels, glass, trim. It basically does everything. And I think what this has really come down to, the more I think about it, and the more I kind of push back on the ceramic coating manufacturers out there is, like wheel coatings, for example. I've been doing this test for a little while on this channel where, I coated my Kia EV6 and I used a wheel coat, or like 3 different wheel coatings and 1 paint coating. And from my experience, paint coatings are actually better a lot of the times than wheel coatings. They sell you this by marketing to you that, oh, we have very high temps in there. We need a really durable ceramic coating. But a lot of the times the paint coatings do better than the wheel coatings. And I think that's very similar to what goes on in the PPF market. Seems to me like the more ceramic coatings they can sell you, the better. Hence why we have like 7 different ceramic coatings when you can go to something like this and buy one that kind of does it all. So you really start thinking about that as a detailer. And, I'm running a business here. I have a lot of costs. When I'm considering that I'm spending, $70 on a trim coating and $100+ on a paint coating and then $50 for a glass coating and a different wheel coating, that adds up quite a bit. So I think these companies are smart in saying, oh, you need this does this. Now, the thing that most people I think are going to say about the PPF and vinyl, well, it has to be flexible. That's why we have this PPF coating that is made to be flexible. Well, paint coatings do the same thing. Now, I think the industry has gone this very weird way. You've seen when they first came out, we were talking about 9H hardness, and now graphene's all the rage. And now it just goes all these different ways. And in my opinion, it's just a way to sell more product. Naturally, ceramic coatings have to be flexible because paint over time, whether it's hot or cold outside, expands and contracts. It does this daily. That's why a lot of the times bugs and things like that, when it expands, you get all of the stuff into the paint, closes up overnight, all those minerals. It's this whole complicated process, but trust me, paint protection films expands and contracts over time. So naturally, if you're putting a ceramic coating over it, it has to expand and contract. If you put something on there that is completely rock hard and the paint goes to expand, you're gonna crack that ceramic coating. So these ceramic coatings are all flexible. Now, I've played with PPF coatings, I played with paint coatings. My personal opinion is skip the PPF stuff. It doesn't last as long. It's not as aggressive as a paint coating here. And the paint coatings work better and are often cheaper than the PPF coating. It's very strange to me. So in front of me here are kind of a normal line of ceramic coatings that you see out there in the industry. You have something like Geon Mohs Evo. This is heavy polyxylazine based, very different from a SiO2 based ceramic coating like Seacort's UK 3.0. You come over here to a certified Geon full strength ceramic coating. This is something you can use on PPF. Clean by Pans is something you can use as well. You have G-Technic CSL and EXO V5 over here. These are all options you can choose to install on your PPF. Now, you do need to be careful with these. So I would tell you, if you don't have experience in doing ceramic coatings, I wouldn't take your vehicle to a PPF shop, spend $10,000 on it, and then ruin the paint protection film job by doing a botched ceramic coating job. Now, here's one other point I want to bring up. How much should you be paying for this if you're having a shop do it? In my personal opinion, I think if you're charging, let's say $8,000 to $12,000 to do full film, you should be including a ceramic coating on the film. I see a lot of my customers that choose to get PPF done and they're spending $9,000 on PPF and then they go, hey, do you want a ceramic coating on it? And they go, sure, how much does it cost? And what I see is between $800 and $1,500. In my personal opinion, that is an absolute ripoff. You see, ceramic coatings are not all about the actual cost to install the coating. The install of the coating is the easy part. It's the last step. It is all the prep that gets involved. So when I have customers come in here that want their brand new car ceramic coated, we're going through paint correction, polishing, cleaning, prepping. It's all about the prep. That is where your time comes in. So for me, you just spent 10 grand on a car like this to get filmed, and then the car is ready to go. There's no more prep you have to do other than wipe it down, make sure all your slip solution's gone, which you're already doing anyway before you deliver to the customer. You're literally spending an hour, maybe 2 hours in installing a ceramic coating, and you're charging $1,500 for that. It's absolutely ridiculous in my personal opinion, because realistically, a normal shop is whatever coating they're using maybe has a $50 product cost on that up to $200. You don't really see coatings going above 200 bucks. So that's, to me, it's like you have very little time and labor on there, and you also have very little product cost. So why are you marking that up, thousands of percent? I personally feel like that's a ripoff because the prep is in the actual paint protection film. So charge accordingly for that, and then charge accordingly for your ceramic coating. I personally don't think a ceramic coating done by a professional on prep that's already been done should be more than $500. And in my personal opinion, shops need to build that into their cost. It makes the customer feel all warm and fuzzy. Oh wow, I'm getting PPF and a ceramic coating for the same price, and I'm not getting price gouged on this. That's my personal opinion. I know that's a very hot take. A lot of people are not going to like that. So that's my real premise here in why you should do a ceramic coating on your PPF. I think it's going to stay a lot cleaner for longer. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier to clean up. So on this GT4 RS, which coating am I going to use here? Now, one thing that my customer asked me to do was really go through and do a deep clean of this. All these little vents in here were completely covered in dirt and grime. So I also want to protect those areas. You can see we have matte and satin finish NACA ducts here. We have vents here, vents all the way back. I want to choose a coating that I can protect all of that. And that's why today we're going to be installing Clean by Pan the Organizer's 8-year coating on the PPF, on the trim, on basically everything. Now, these are all great coatings over here. Something like Geonmo's Evo, totally acceptable to go over PPF. But the issue with this is a lot of these very challenging vents and areas are very hard to coat. And a lot of those trim coatings get very annoying to take off after you've done basically the whole car, and then you go back to do the trim. So that's why I'm going to be using this. So let's jump into the quick little install here. So I want to run you guys through how you prep the paint protection film for a ceramic coating. Now, ideally, the best way to do this, of course, is to have your installer who has done the PPF do the ceramic coating from day one. Not going to have any iron deposits, dirt, grime, whatever it may be in there. So ideally, you want to have that shop do it. But if they're charging you $1,500, maybe you decide, hey, I just spent a lot of money on this. I want to do it myself. I'm proficient in doing a ceramic coating. Now, there are ceramic coatings out there that are more DIY friendly than others. So I would look into those, watch some reviews. I truly think the coating we're going to install today is a good DIY friendly option. Now, I've never installed it on paint protection film, but from my experience installing it Clean by Pan the Organizer's 8-year coating, it's going to be no issue. But what happens if you're a customer like this, or whatever the case may be, that you got film done, you didn't get it ceramic coated, and then you want to have it done, you know, a couple thousand miles later? What are the steps you want to go through? Well, first off, you need to, of course, do a wash. Like with anything, you need to make sure the vehicle is completely clean. Now, the other question I know a lot of people are going to have, can you actually clay bar PPF? Because of course, with PPF, you still get iron deposits and environmental fallout, things like that. Now, I would not recommend doing any sort of claying on paint protection film. What I would instead do is use a chemical, something like Iron X, to remove all of those contaminants. You can also get into soaps that are either acidic or alkaline to remove the road film, whatever it may be in that particular case. But you don't want to come in here and try and clay bar all of it. Now, the other question is, do you want to polish paint protection film? Now, it very much depends. I polished lots of PPF in my days of detailing, whether it has just some severe stains because it wasn't ceramic coated, wasn't maintained, whatever the case may be. Yes, you can polish it. Do I recommend it? And I will say, arguably no, because one of the issues with it, with PPF, is you have all of these exposed edges, and especially if you're having a shop who doesn't wrap as many edges as possible, you're going to have polish in every single edge, and it is absolutely annoying to remove. So I think a lot of guys out there would say, don't polish it at all. It's very dependent on the use case. So what I would tell you, and what I hope I can inform you guys in, is let's say you got film on your car, you opted out to have said shop do it. I'm going to drive it home and install it that day. totally cool with that. Make sure you rinse the car down and then you get into a prep stage. Now for panel prep, this is something we're going to be using. This is Clean by Pan the Organizer's panel prep. I always like, no matter what coating I'm using, to use their panel prep. If I'm using Geon, I'm going to Geon panel prep. If I'm using G-Technic, I'm using theirs. So whatever it may be, that's what I'm going to do. So the car's been washed, it's been decontaminated, it's been dried, it's ready to be coated. Now, if you're coating all of the trim, like on all of this car, you want to make sure all that's clean as well. So I went through, I scrubbed the living heck out of this particular car, getting all of the air vents completely clean, and they're ready to go. So the beauty with Pan's coating is you can go right over all of this at the same time. You know, normally when I'm installing something like Geon Infinite Base Type 1, I'm installing on the paint, and then when I come down to plastic vents, I know you guys can't see in there, but then I have to come back after the fact, coat that, worry about getting it on the paint or the paint protection film in this case, and it just kind of gets annoying. So this is nice, you know, where we have areas like these end plates here. I don't have to worry about getting the paint coating in this case on the end plate, changing the color, then putting a different coating on here. It really is starting to be this thing that I'm really appreciating about Pan's new coating. So I'm anxious to get this on, but let's get this panel prepped first. Very simple install here. What you're gonna do, take a fresh clean towel, 2 sprays on it, and wipe the panel. You're gonna flip over to your dry side, and boom, there you go. You wanna do the whole car first. You don't wanna do like this door, ceramic coat this door, then panel prep this, then go back and ceramic coat this. Do the whole car all at once with panel prep. You can do your glass at the same time, plastics, everything. Then you're just ready to coat. It's as simple as that. So let me get that done, and then I'll show you a quick install and show you the final results. What we're gonna do here is just show you a quick little install demo. I'll bring you in a little bit closer, but first let's talk about the tools. Number one, you're gonna want a glove or gloves if you have 2 hands, not like me. You of course want to make sure that you're not getting any of the ceramic coating on your hands, and you're not getting your hand oils into the ceramic coatings into your towels. Very important step there. Next, you're gonna want a coating applicator. I love these. These are made by Autofiber. I think these are called the Coating Savers. I use these for all of my ceramic coatings, whether it's paint, trim, glass, leather interior, wheels, you name it. This is my absolute go-to. Now over here, we have our first initial wipe off towel. This is our leveling towel. So this is made by the Rag Company. This is the Pearl Edgeless, I believe it's called. Have to double check that, but great first wipe off. Then our next wipe is going to be with our Rag Company Eagle Edgeless 500. This is great for just getting the rest of all the big stuff. You're not trying to get all the coating off the first time you wipe it off there. So this is what that is great for. Next, you're gonna want some lights. I like having these Scan Grip handheld lights. This is perfect for making sure you're not getting high spots. High spots are essentially the areas of which you are coating and not getting totally wiped off. This is very helpful. I also like to wear a Scan Grip headlamp. Yes, I look like a dork, but it makes the coating installs go a lot better, makes everything go a lot more even. And then over here, this is not really a review of this coating. I'll quickly show you how to use this. I've done a more in-depth dedicated guide to this, but this is Clean by Pan the Organizer's 8-year ceramic coating. So what I would tell you, if this is the first time ever coating a car, make sure you understand not only flash time, but work time, and understand that you don't want to do too much at one time. So one of the biggest issues I see a lot of beginners do is they'll come to a hood like this and they'll try and do the entire hood at one time. Now, some coatings have a long work time, meaning from the time you apply it onto the vehicle's finish to when it needs to come off, i.e. when you get into wiping it with a towel. Some are very long work times. You can have coatings that are 5 to 10 minutes. You can have coatings like pans that are between 1 to 2 minutes, but workable up to like 5 minutes or a little bit longer than that. Then you go to Geon stuff. Geon can be very tricky for even a lot of professionals. The first time I tried it, it flashes so fast that you have to work quickly. So naturally you shrink down your work section. So you don't want to go in and hammer an entire entire hood, because Geon stuff basically flashes within 15 seconds and is ready to come off at 30. So you can imagine you start installing up here. By the time you get to that corner, this has been sitting here for 2 minutes, then you start having a coating that is annoying to wipe off. So I do think if you're interested in testing pans coating, it's a great beginner coating. Lots of amazing properties that go in to make this coating last a long time. The technology is pretty amazing in here. I have a full dedicated review doing this on a painted vehicle and why I love it so much. Now, the great thing here, again, we have a lot of vents on this car, a lot of satin finish materials. Again, one thing I want to point out here, if I'm using something like Infinite Base Type 1, when I'm coating this hood or this fender, I don't want to be getting this on any of the plastics, so it makes it a little challenging. The issue is that coating doesn't work that well on plastics, and it actually makes it a little bit lighter than if you were to use some sort of a trim coating. So what you have often is, say you get this like little corner with that Infinite Base Type 1 on there, you do the entire car, you come back, and then you're ready to trim coat, you go wipe it over, and then now that coating that's on there is repelling the trim coating that you're putting on. So it can be kind of frustrating, and then it's annoying if you have this little spot that looks like you missed the coating even though it's coated, but it's a different shade of black because the trim coating has a little bit different film build on there. It's made to really soak into it. So that's why I've really liked this coating on very technical, challenging vehicles like this with vents that are exposed. You can just go through and hammer everything out in one go. Now, I will say, to do this with this coating, you need to make 100% sure that all of these are completely clean. That is, all your plastics are completely clean and completely dry. So I think this is one annoyance for paint protection film shops. They have so much water, slip solution, whatever it may be, going all over the car. It has to be 100% dry. So that could be an annoyance. What I'll often do with this coating after I've started learning how to use it is, say, a NAC event like this, I will come in here and I will basically coat the big area, and then back in here, after I've done the whole car, I'll come back in with detailing swabs, get back in there, all of these little vents to make sure every single square inch is completely covered. So with this coating, I would traditionally work in quite a large section. I'd probably do this entire hood, but just for you guys, I'm going to split it up so you guys can really see. See, this is really the issue with other coatings. As you can tell right there, I just got it on that. That would be very annoying on a lot of other coatings. But the great thing is, boom, you just go right over those plastics, get it into the large areas, and then again, we'll come back and really fine tune those details. But this coating, as you can see, goes very far. This is not something you're having to reapply a ton of product. I really don't like splitting things like this. It makes it look very uneven, especially up there on the top, but we'll go back over it. So one thing you need to know here, of course, if this is your first time installing coatings, again, don't overwork yourself. You need to watch some videos to understand the flash time of this stuff. Now, pans coating here is 1 to 2 minutes. So what you're looking for here are not only time indicators and saying, okay, this has been on here for 2 minutes, it's ready to come off. Now you can wipe this as quickly as 1 minute. I always like to push it a little bit to make sure I'm getting the most amount of coverage on here possible, letting the coating really cure on there before it comes off. Oftentimes, a lot of people try and wipe it too quickly, and the coating is actually not getting flashed onto the actual surface. So you'll hear us talk a lot about flash time. That is the time of which you install it to it's ready to come off. This one also has a clear indicator, as you're seeing here. It is rainbowing. Some coatings do this very differently. I've seen coatings that I've played with that the rainbow goes away, and then it starts to basically bead up. Then it's ready to come off. Some coatings immediately flash rainbow, but you have to leave it on there for a certain period of time. Other coatings like Geon coatings, what they actually do is start to sweat, or they get these little beads on it. That's when it's ready to come off. So you need to understand the differences in between there when you're installing ceramic coatings. It is hugely important. So I'm gonna let this sit here for a minute more probably. It's probably ready to come off, but really the great thing with pans is you have a lot of work time. So I can sit here and let this go for 4 to 5 minutes and it's still gonna come off beautifully. But if this is your first time, I'd highly recommend you not leave it that long. Go that 2 minutes and figure it out. Now, coatings always come off differently based on a multitude of factors. Not only how much product you put on there, but what the temperature, the humidity is. If you have moving air in your shop, that can change from the front of the vehicle to the back. So to be a true professional, you need to look at it, figure out what it's doing, and start going from there. That's why I always say, for me, it always takes, 5 to 6, maybe even 10 full ceramic coating jobs to figure out the best way to do a coating. Before, when I first started pans coating, this would be like the biggest section I would do. Now I would have zero problem doing the whole hood, knowing that it's going to come off perfectly well. So I'm going to come in here first. Oh my God. That is one thing I just absolutely adore about this coating, is just the feel of it. It goes on like a very serious ceramic coating, i.e. heavy SiO2 based coatings, which I am not a fan of. And then it comes off like a polyxylazane coating. It just immediately comes off super slick. Now, this is completely okay here. I hope you guys can see this. Definitely have some wiping that we didn't fully get. That is not the intent in the first time you wipe it down. You're going to have a little bit of this, so I'm going to flip this over, clean this up a little bit, wipe this down, and then you'll see when we come back with our big fluffy red one, this is all going to be a natural, smooth looking area. Now, a lot of guys will work in circular motions like I do. Some folks like to go in just a straight line. I think it's just down to personal preference. I kind of like to do a mixture of both, just kind of seeing how it goes on there, but this is coming off beautifully well and feels so slick. I wish you guys could feel the difference of this. It's just absolutely slick, and then up here it just feels so tacky. I know it doesn't come through on camera, but it's extremely impressive. So that is how you coat PPF. It's honestly not that much different. The biggest differences you're going to notice is the film is going to soak up naturally more than paint because it is more porous, it's a little softer, so you're going to go through a little bit more product here. The only other difference I would say is the feel of it. Definitely feels a little bit different, still has a little bit of tackiness in it, but honestly feels pretty good on here. So in all honesty, if you've done a paint coating before, you're not really going to have issues on PPF. Just make sure you're going through, coming back with your scan grips, making sure, hey, I got every single edge. Make sure you're over wiping into here so you're not leaving high spots here, and then moving on, and that's curing up. So it's pretty straightforward install. I'm going to finish the rest of this GT4 RS, and I will see you at the end when we're done completely coating, give you a final wrap up and thoughts on coating. We are all done here with the GT4 RS, and dang, you can see how much richer the gloss in the PPF now. It looks awesome. So again, just to recap this, I think this was a good little video just talking about really the benefits of protecting your protection. I totally understand where a lot of people are coming from, saying this is overkill, but in all honesty, you're paying a lot of money for this PPF. Why not put another layer of protection on top of it to make sure that it absolutely looks its best? Again, the coating is going to help keep the PPF cleaner longer, and then most importantly with this, when you go to clean it up, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier to scrub off that dirt, that grime, and especially those bugs. I just cannot get over the feeling difference of this. It is absolutely silky smooth feeling now, getting it ceramic coated, so it's going to be extremely helpful down the road. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit shorter of a video, but really like to talk through these bigger topics and answer some kind of unanswered questions for a lot of folks who are interested in doing, full PPF like this. How do you actually maintain this over time? Because now really all you do is just wash it and just keep it maintained, keep it clean. You don't really have to go crazy using, PPF specific soaps or anything like that. It is really just down to washing the car like a normal vehicle now. Use some nice pH neutral soaps. Now again, with PPF, you're not worried about scratching it, but I don't think I would be one of those guys going to a car wash using the brush that everybody uses on their wheels and doing it on the PPF. That just doesn't seem quite the best way to do it. So wash it normally, don't go too crazy with it. But now again, the nice thing is you have another layer of protection. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any comments, leave them down in the comment section below. This GT4 RS is absolutely stunning and looks so good now with all of that super glossy coating all over it. Perfectly cleaned, ready to go and enjoy some fun. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.